Hey YouTube, it's been a while since I've been out in the shed. Hopefully the cancer is gone now for the second time and gone permanently. What I'm looking to do today is to remake this part here. I didn't show a video of this, making this. Not happy with the tolerances of it, so I'm just going to remake that one with a few design changes. What I plan to do is, where I had a little bit of a lip here, I'm going to move that out to this. That face is going to sit here flush with that, which will move that across on this side, giving me more room for around the holes. So what we've got so far is this vertical plate, which sits on the motor, like that, and that moves up and down. Hopefully you can see that, like that. This pokes through the plate, a bolt goes through here, which pushes up against that edge, and then that's going to provide the movement on the motor and keep the tension on the motor. So let's get into it. First thing I want to do is trim up this edge here. It's a little bit rough from a previous cut, so I'm just going to trim that guy up first. Then what I may do is just manually cut a piece off here, because I think it's going to be a whole lot easier to work with this piece if I put it in the vise here, because I've obviously got some very good fixtures here and it's also level to sit on. So I think I'm going to cut a piece off here and then I'm going to work off here. I'll have to flip the pieces over from time to time, but I think it's probably going to be a whole lot easier than trying to work on this, especially since I need to be using coolant and I need to remove the piece of wood from underneath here. Having a bit of an issue with the controller at the moment, the USB controller, which seems to be losing USB connection, which obviously then causes problems with the job. So it's one good thing is that they have improved the software, that they now have an option when it loses connectivity to save the offset. So that's something that wasn't in previous versions, which allows you to more accurately restore the situation. Okay, so let's try that again. Did it again in the exact same spot. I wonder what's causing that thing to trip out. Just giving this a bit more thought, I don't think it can be this gender change that's causing the drama, because the screen showing that the USB has lost connection. If it was the connection here that was the issue, then the motor would stop driving, or the motors would stop driving, but the screen wouldn't be showing the message. So the USB connection loss must be between the cable from the computer to somewhere inside here. So maybe the controller's starting to pack up. Okay, let's try that again. This is the problem I'm having. Keeps on coming up with this message saying that it's lost connection to the USB. See, and this is the message that comes up when it can't find the USB controller. So it keeps on dropping for some reason. I tried a different cable, a different USB cable, and that didn't fix it. So that's why I started looking at the thing. I reckon it's probably the controller starting to play up on me. Since I was having trouble trusting the controller, which was cutting out on me before, I've decided to manually cut a lot of this stuff which I would have ordinarily written a program up for, or some G-code up for. But in part of that trial of manually cutting it, I've been experimenting with using the full flute of the cutter. Now, I've seen this mentioned many times that it's more efficient to do it this way, but so far I've been very reluctant to do it purely because of the fact that I've been worried about breaking cutters. And I've already broke the cutter that was already in there, but the cutter that I had in there was quite long. It's probably about 30mm longer than the cutter that I got in there. And in that there is a learning, I guess, just in that alone, in that if you use the right size cutter, you won't have as much chatter, which is what I was getting on that back side while I was trying to, this side over here, while I was trying to clean it up, clean that face up. I wasn't getting a clean face, and that's because that cutter was too long. So lesson one, or refresher course number one, is use the right size cutter. And it's, so far I'm using the full face of the cutter, and I'm trying to just, I don't know, I guess be a little bit more courageous. I haven't broken the cutter so far, but if I keep the feeds down to about 400mm per minute, it seems to be cutting quite fine. In fact, it seems to be cutting really well. The other thing as well is when I'm using the full cutter like this, it does tend to build up a lot of material in a groove, which can potentially break the cutter as well. So note to myself, always try to cut from the air side if possible. Okay, continuing on. Using the whole flute's working out really well. Just down to this last little bit. In hindsight, what I really should have done is come from this direction, kept going till I hit this face here. But now what I'm left is with this one piece that's probably just over 1mm wide. And as soon as I start to cut this guy, it's probably going to wobble and snap off because it's only fairly thin. So yes, I should have started this end, went across the, just kept on stepping across till I got to this side. And I probably could have just come to the edge and stepped across here rather than, well, I put this here so that when I cut it off, it's going to be a little bit easier if most of it's cut off already. But learning as we go. So yeah, this is working quite well, and next time I'm out needing to do a job, I probably won't be so scared to do it.